Hi, this is Angela Wright from Noble ICO, Make Crypto Easy, and Daily Crypto Fix. And I'm super excited today to be talking with Nathan Burns, who's co-founder of Free Market Token and eCrypto Store. Nathan, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Angela. I really appreciate having time on the call with you.
Yeah, great. Well, so many people that have been looking at how can we make it simpler for buying and selling with crypto, and how can we make this more mainstream and have the two aspects of fiat and cryptocurrencies working together. And this is something you've been working on for a long time to address. So tell me, what's so good about Free Market Token and eCrypto Store?
Okay, so what we're really focused on with our project is to bring simplicity into the market, because what we found is when we got into crypto ourselves, it's quite a confusing and complex process, trying to create wallets and all these sorts of things. You don't really know what you're doing. And then once you finally get into crypto, you go, oh, finally I'm in. How do you use it? How do you spend it? How do you, how can you transact? So we took that problem that we started to experience ourselves, and we looked at, imagine if you had a marketplace, just like, let's say, eBay, but it had the functionality where it could accept crypto. And so we started to build up the platform. We got the coders and team onto that project. We started building up the platform, and we came across a few more obstacles along the way, but what really sort of put us in a position is the platforms that we'd seen out there for buy and sell, they seem to fall down in a few areas. So yes, some of them hit the mark on certain aspects, but they didn't bring it all together. And what we realized is there's no one place anywhere on the net currently that services the needs, keeps it simple, where you feel security around it, knowing that when you transact, your money is going to go to who it should, and that your goods are going to come for your payments. So we just looked at that aspect of it, and we started to tackle some of the problems we personally faced just as a user, and that's sort of where it all burst from.
Okay, now I want to delve into the tech with you, because I know that you've got some really deep blockchain tech going on here. But before we do that, can you give us a little bit of background about how you became involved, your other co-founders, and what your technology background, I suppose, what your knowledge is in this area, so that, why should people listen to you and what you're building here?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we have a bit of an interesting backstory, and the three co-founders, we actually call ourselves the Three Musketeers because we just gel so well, and we get along fantastic. And we always consider ourselves to be a bit like three nodes on the blockchain, where there's generally always consensus once everyone's got the information. Now, how it all came to be is one of our co-founders, Raf, he's actually the owner of a boutique software development company, has been running that for a number of years quite successfully, and had mega clients. Now, we started to do some business prior to getting eCrypto Store started, and there was a lot of alignment there. So we've got a history of a few years with him, and basically what happened is the idea came together through our own initial problems, and it was like a hand in the glove fit. And my other business partner, Austin, who at some stage I'm sure everyone will get to meet too, we've been in business for the last 12 years or so. So we've had a long-standing business partnership in a variety of different industries, particularly in e-commerce and social marketing and things like that. So we're a good fit, and being able to have the tech team behind us, I know Raf's team, there's now 70 full-time coders, developers, and web marketers in there. So we've got a really strong foundation. We can build what needs to be built, and we know that it's not something where our dev team's going to run off. It's not like a outsourced thing like Elancer or something where you never know you're going to get the result.
Okay, so you've got this sort of solid foundation. You've got a long history of knowledge in the industry, which makes a big difference to somebody just coming in and being like an opportunist. So you guys are deeply involved in this. And tell me more about the tech then. Tell me about your involvement, I think, with NEM. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're building on the NEM blockchain. We believe that's definitely the best fit for us. Their blockchain itself is one of the fastest from transactional point of view. They've got a lot of work with Catapult coming out, which will also help integrate a few of our solutions. However, we're not reliant on that. We're building the gaps between now. And so we'll be able to use the blockchain for things like, well, obviously the transactions themselves, all logged on the blockchain, transparency there, but also proof of origin for certain items, and especially when you start getting into the retail space of higher end things on an e-commerce platform. You know, if someone's to buy a Rolex, you don't want it to be a Folex. And how do you know about that? If it's all already on the blockchain and it's verifiable, it's all transparent, you'll be able to see the journey from start to end. So that's something we're looking at down the track. And then also a lot of the background work of being able to transact in one crypto. So let's say, for example, a buyer might come and they might have Bitcoin to spend, but the merchant might actually want to receive another one, like a Shapeshift. So we're working on these sorts of things, and it'll all be logged on the blockchain. So very transparent and a very quick process on NEM's blockchain. Okay.
So first of all, thanks for explaining that. Explain a little bit more about Free Market Token and how that relates to eCryptoStore.
Okay, cool. Good. It's actually a really good question. So what happened is when we first designed eCryptoStore, we realized there's only a limitation to what can be done without creating more of an ecosystem and tokenizing the economy, because a lot of the risks associated with traditional e-commerce platform in crypto, not just the risk, but a lot of the issues that we have can't necessarily be solved in without tokenizing, without leverage. So we looked at a few different things of how the tokens can come into play and how it can really improve the experience for a user. So things like having instant settling escrow, where you can stake your free market tokens as collateral against the escrow and actually instantly settle. Right, this is something that's very unique. It's not something that anyone's properly executed before, and it allows then the merchant to have their cash flow, not be exposed to the volatility of the market and waiting 2-3 weeks for their transaction to clear. But instead, they're using the token to allow the transaction to clear instantly, and they're leveraging off something that they're already utilizing for reduced fees. Offsetting subscription fees. So it's saving people a fortune in the process, but it's giving a real opportunity for other future things to come. Like just an example is, one of the things we want to do is give merchants the opportunity to direct market to their clients or potential clients, but the potential clients are actually getting paid or incentivized for opening the marketing message. So we've created a gifting concept called incentivized gift marketing. So it's literally gifting tokens for them to open the marketing message, which is phenomenal for branding. And when you merge that with a targeting marketing campaign where you use the back end of their habits and shopping experience prior, so you know what they're interested in, the targeted marketing becomes very precise, and now the reward for a user is fantastic. The experience is really good, and that's something you just can't get. You can't incentivize people in the same way without that sort of ecosystem.
I love that, because it's all about putting people back in control, isn't it? Rather than the platform being in control, like Amazon or any of the others. It's now about putting the actual end user in control, so the customer or potential customer, but also from a seller's perspective. I know we sell on Amazon with some of our businesses, and the fees are absolutely extortionate. And even when you look at something like eBay or any of the others, the fees are horrendous. So putting the seller in control of who they want to talk to and how, and being able to manage their fees, and then particularly putting the end user in control so they don't get spammed, but they actually get rewarded for relevant interactions. That's really exciting.
Yeah, and on that note as well, one thing we also realized is, I used to sell on eBay. I used to import and sell on eBay, and it was fantastic way back in the day, but they just continually increased the prices. And just as an example, the current fees for a casual sale on eBay is 10.8% now. It's horrendous, right? And so as a merchant, you're stuck with the troubles of, by the time you do any sort of external marketing, you're running your business, you got your general typical overheads, and then you get whacked with a 10.8% fee. It's questionable whether it's who you're working for. Are you actually working to make eBay rich, or are you making some money yourself? So we looked at that and said, what could be the true experience for someone? Imagine if we could get the fees down as low as like 1% for transactions, but give them all the serviceability and function of a full e-commerce platform like eBay, where it has reporting tools and things. So we've built all of the back end to support an actual merchant's experience to be wonderful as well. But what we made sure is we're not going to gouge people along the way. And even out of that 1%, we're really looking after things like we believe very much in building community, supporting causes of value. And even, for example, a percentage of that, 15% in fact, goes to a charitable organisation as well. You know, we think that's important. And, you know, if we can grow an ecosystem that becomes a global dominating platform, which is what our plans are in the crypto space, and bringing fee, you know, into the picture, you know, we can. I'm sure eBay doesn't mind if we take a few percentage of their customers. You know, and Amazon's got enough as well. There's enough to go around, but we just think there's opportunity not to be greedy, but to do something fantastic that's good for us, it's good for the community itself, and it's good for the people in need who really do need a leg up.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked a lot there about sellers and how Free Market Token works in relation to eCrypto Store. And from the buyers, the users, how are you going to get people coming to your platform so the sellers have got a wide audience to sell to?
Yeah, okay. Well, it's quite... This is the fun part. The marketing side of things it's great. We're really going... Initially, we're going in ground roots through the crypto community itself, because this is where we believe the core community comes from. Now, also through our ICO offering, a lot of the people who are interested in coming on board as supporters and contributors to the ICO, they're very much merchants themselves. So we're going direct to merchants, but we're also going through the community first. Now, in and around that, we've got plans to do some fairly aggressive guerrilla marketing, you know, reaching out to those who are already in the e-commerce space, and the largest percentage of our budget will actually go into marketing. We know that this is a space which is highly competitive, where you've got these overlording conglomerates, eBay and Amazon and Taobao and Alibaba, right, which are dominating the space, and they're doing it at an absolute extortionist rate. So what we're looking at doing is just taking a percentage of all of these major companies, not enough to, you know, make them change their business model to come after us, but simply take a little percentage off a whole broad spectrum, and then bring them across into a crypto store, and that way we don't rock the boat too much.
And what is the size of the market, and what do you think you can achieve before you rock the boat? And later on, I want to ask you how you're going to contain the boat when it is rocked, because as this grows, you will certainly have competition.
Yeah, well, we're not afraid of the competition anyway, because we are their competition, right? We're the competitor coming into the market, and we've got an aggressive plan. But how big is the market? It's phenomenal. It's monumental. If we just pick up 0.25% off each of the big guns, we end up at about 1.7 billion a year. Right.
0.25% of eBay, Amazon, Gumtree, and Alibaba or AliExpress.
Yeah. So if we took 0.25% off each of those, it's actually $1.75 billion. So there's enough pie for everybody. We've got also a bit of an advantage, because we are quite aware that, you know, the big guns, eBay and stuff, there's been, you know, news articles suggesting that they're coming into crypto. The reality is they've got contracts in place. Let's say, for example, with PayPal, eBay can't necessarily just jump into crypto. They've got their contract in place with PayPal, so they're not going to change that anytime soon. They've got at least until 2020 before that expires. But more so, their whole business model is around larger fees, and they don't change their business model for competition. What they tend to do is come after you. Now, we've also considered that, some people ask us, well, what would happen if they came and they want to buy you out? Well, obviously we want to look after the community. So it's not a conversation that we'll entertain lightly. And obviously in doing so, if they did ever come and say, hey, here's a whole pile of money, we want you to go away, it's got to be in the best interest of the entire crypto community, all the token holders. It's not something that we're interested in saying, oh, okay, we'll take the money and disappear. No, I've got kids. I want to know I can sleep at night. I don't need any target on my back. But more so is we're in this for the long term. We're in this for the bigger picture. And we know that the wave, the shift in the market is that crypto is becoming, well, it will become mainstream. It's just a matter of time. There's no illusion to that. It's definitely coming to a point where people are very aware of it. People want to get in. And then often the question is, well, how do I get in? Like, how do I start this thing? So this is one of the things that we're really focused on as well, is onboarding people with no experience. They don't need to know about crypto to earn crypto. They can get paid for selling goods or services that they might have laying around, or they might be an existing merchant and they say, I'd love to earn a little bit of crypto. I don't know how that would work. Just simply come on eCrypto store, simple setup, and then already start earning crypto.
Okay, I think that's all really relevant, and there's no doubt that this is becoming more mainstream, and people's expectations are rising all the time as well. People want authentication. They want to have more certainty of what they buy online. They want it to be faster. They don't expect to pay huge fees, whether it's as a consumer on the credit card, especially if it's Forex, if you're ordering in a different currency. We expect more than that now, and especially as a seller. You don't expect to be paying these huge amounts that the other platforms are charging. So I think it's a good idea. And the leader of the International Monetary Fund this week, talking about crypto, she said, here we go. She said, and I quote, they'll have a significant impact on how we save, invest, and pay our bills. So buying and selling in both crypto and fiat and merging those worlds, I think, is definitely the way forward. And I've always said that mainstream adoption is likely to come from somewhere out of left field. Before you get to just pay for your coffee in crypto, it'll come from something like replacing mortgages or your everyday buying and selling online like this. So it's very exciting what you guys are doing. And tell me, how long have you been working on this project now?
So eCrypto Store we started working on that, I think it's now a bit over a year ago. And obviously we put a huge amount of our own private money in to get things rolling. Initially, we didn't even have the concept of tokenizing the economy until we realized the magnitude and the benefit of doing so for the community, for the user base, as what we talked about before, bringing features and things in that just simply can't be done. If we privately funded the whole way through, we also don't believe we'd be able to provide such a platform that can be global and can really compete in that space, because quite literally we wouldn't have the resources to go all the way with it. But in this case, we think this is the right approach. We definitely believe in where we're heading with it, and we know that as the market shifts into mainstream adoption and as people do use cryptocurrency on a regular basis, we just want to smooth out the bumps along the way, make it like an easy transition for people to get in, to use and go, wow, it wasn't a pain in the ass to use, right? And this is really where it all started from. See, when we got into crypto, we were doing a bit of trading, right? We started to see some profits coming through, and we're like, okay, how do we use this crypto? Like, where do we spend it? How do we spend it? And then what we realized very quickly is to get it back into fiat money, fiat currency. Well, one, it took up to 3 days, so the time was horrendous. But two is we lost a few percent in the process as well. So we're like, it's expensive and it's time consuming. And what we also realized is by converting it back to dollars, all we're doing is going online shopping with it. So why not take the pain out of the whole transition and the time frame and just bring the two together? Make e-commerce with crypto, but make it friendly enough that everyone can do it and go and have a good experience along the way.
Okay, so that makes sense. So you're saying that if somebody has cryptocurrency, they can shop using it easily and convert it into goods or services, essentially. And you're saying if somebody is selling goods or services, who perhaps is new in, they can accept cryptocurrency or their choice of fiat currency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and talking about those choices, what cryptos are you accepting and what fiat currencies as well?
Okay, so as it stands, we're accepting over 40 of the top cryptocurrencies, and we accept, I think it's just over 25 different fiat currencies. So we're about 65 across the board, and that will add more as time goes on and as our project evolves, but it'll just depend on what's relevant and current at the time.
Okay, well that's significant because I know with one of our stores we take cryptos currently, but I'm limited to a choice of 3 cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, that's common.
40 different cryptocurrencies is quite remarkable. Is that quite unique?
Yeah, well, there are payment gateways that offer a number of services, but it generally is then a plug-in for a website. And the big fundamental difference here is when we can combine fiat and crypto in a single platform and not just have the user out there, not the user, but the merchant out there on their own in the big bad web or the World Wide Web or, peppered around the internet, but can create a community where there's a lot of merchants in one place, and it also drives traffic because people then know that they can go there. They know that they're not just going there for one item or 2 items. They can search for it through a buffet.
Okay.
And find what they're looking for.
So what are the top 3 things that someone should know in order to be successful? Firstly, buying things through you, and secondly, selling anything through you.
Okay, so the first main thing would be it's simple. Okay, so from a user's experience as far as a buyer, it's very simple. They literally could QR code, scan an item and have it sent to their house. It's safe. With our escrow system being put into place, it really covers people from any sort of exposure to risk. And we also fully ID verify our merchants, so that there's a lot of trust in the platform itself. We know that our users who are coming on board are legitimate operators. We actually background check their business, or we make sure that their ID is who they are, and things like that, like selfie ID and all sorts of stuff, just to encourage authenticity into the platform and the trust element. The third main thing is that it's fast and it's effective, right? So from a user, it's not a painful process to buy something. It's simple and quick. It's very secure, right? From a merchant side of things is you're now exposed to another market. Again, it's simple to set up a store. It only takes a couple of minutes. It's not a lengthy, laborious process. You can upload as many goods and services as you like. So we're not capping things out. We're bringing large volumes of people into a central place for shopping for their experience in that case. But we're taking out the volatility and exposure through, again, the instant settlement of escrow. So a merchant isn't exposed to volatility. Things are, again, secure on their end and simple to set up. And I think I probably talked more than 3.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So what's the best way for someone to get started?
Okay, to get started on eCrypto Store and set up as a merchant or a user is just simply going to www.ecryptostore.com and then joining. Right, fill out the form and you're done. Right, you can upload goods and services. From the token, getting involved in free market token and being part of the ICO experience, then it's freemarkettoken.io. Right, and it's as simple as going to the website, contribute now, and following the process.
Okay, and if somebody comes to freemarket.io, can they then get involved in eCrypto Store from that route?
There will be a link directly through. As it stands right now, we want to keep it nice and clean, but we'll just link those up I think that's something we're doing in the next couple of days anyway.
Okay, and do you think this will work in any area for anyone? If somebody's interested in free market token, do you feel that the use of that through enabling eCrypto Store will be valid to anybody selling or buying anything?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no boundaries to it. The other thing that's really important, what we've looked at, is we're not trying to force free market token onto everybody and say it's the only way you can transact on our platform. What we're saying is you can come onto our platform, transact in cryptocurrency, but by using free market token, you get all the upside benefits. And my way of thinking is everyone knows Binance as a platform. Now, when you get on there, the first time you get on there, you're like, fantastic. And then you find out that there's this thing called BNB, which is Binance's token. Yeah. Why do you use Binance token is to reduce your fees. So the same principle underlying comes into play with eCrypto Store and free market token. If you're going to sell goods and services, it makes sense to have some free market tokens, and then all of a sudden your fees are down. Now you don't have any subscription fees. Now you can use it as collateral. So all the advantages come into play very quickly when it's like that, but it's not limited to anyone. So if it's a user and they want to spend free market token on eCrypto Store, they could. If it's a merchant, they can, but they're not forced to take the tokens. They're not forced to transfer everything into free market token to use it.
Okay. So how much knowledge does an individual or a business need to be able to perhaps get involved in free market token?
Probably the best answer to that is we've got people who are in their late 60s who jumped on and within a couple of minutes were up as a merchant, and we were getting comments through the Telegram group saying, hey, that was a really user-friendly experience, so that no experience is required other than obviously they need to be online. The real basics, they need to have something to sell, but apart from that, there's no experience required. There's no crypto knowledge required. However, we do support the higher end user as well, someone who would want to be a power seller, right? And that's also something that worth explaining as well, is we're at a unique time with the market where it's in its infancy, really. And just like when eBay sprang to life, the people who are the top power sellers on eBay are the ones who got started and grew with the community. They were the people who set up stores, they got a bit of traction, they got their reviews up, they got things like that happening early, they got the traction. And then as the market expanded and expanded, they dominated the marketplace. Now we're in the same situation with the eCrypto Store, where people can come into the ecosystem, set up and grow with the community. Be one of the pioneers to one of the first merchants on the site to make a phenomenal difference over the next 5, 10, 15 years as we go through mass adoption with crypto.
Okay. And talking about reviews and so on, can you give any other examples of what people say who've already started working with you?
Yeah, so we get quite a lot of feedback, particularly in the Telegram group, about the experience of setting up. It's all very positive. Everyone tends to relate it to being so simple. We've got a lot of merchants who have come on board recently with absolutely no experience or knowledge of crypto. They know what crypto is. They've been hearing about it from their friends and neighbors and people, even customers saying, hey, do you take like Bitcoin? And they're like, and now they do. So we've got all sorts of different things. We've got property being listed. In fact, just the other day, had a meeting with someone who's listing $100 million worth of property through our site. They're very interested to take crypto for blocks of land. In fact, they'd prefer to take crypto over fiat currency. So it gives you a bit of an idea. So that's, these sorts of things are coming to us all the time now. We really encourage it, obviously, and it's great to see. There's cars on there. There's electronic cigarettes. There's all sorts of goods and services coming on board already, and it really, the feedback we're getting is phenomenal. But keeping in mind we're on version 1, we've already started building version 2, which is even more sexy.
And what's your relationship with NEM? How closely are you working with NEM to power this?
Yeah, well, we talked to them a fair bit. We were actually in Singapore a couple of weeks back and got to meet some of the team in Singapore. We are getting a lot of the support now as we're closer and closer to like really running hard. We've been keeping in touch on a pretty much a daily basis with NEM. So there's going to be some upcoming events and things we get to do with them. I believe yesterday they put across the Australian and Singapore Telegram some posts about us, about the escrow service and things like that. So they're excited about what we're doing. They're very closely following us as far as our progress, and we're in touch all the time.
Okay. The escrow service is really interesting. I think we need to talk about that another time. It makes me think a little bit about Celsius Network and Etherlend in that one's able to actually use the value of one's crypto, and at the same time it can appreciate or whatever it does. But you're not actually losing it. It's just there for safekeeping, but you're actually enabling other people to transact with you at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they're great projects too, by the way. Those guys, we had an opportunity to meet Etherland up in Brisbane. They're phenomenal. Yeah. And that got us really thinking about different ways we can do things. So.
Okay, good. So if you have one secret to give about getting involved in what you're doing, what would it be?
Okay, I would say get involved now. Don't wait for things to evolve. Don't wait for the platform to be the size of eBay to jump on board and start selling. Get involved now, because as with anything, it's the people, as I mentioned before, it's the people who grow with the community and get involved, get amongst it early, that tend to dominate longer term. And yeah, obviously we're going to go through some changes. There's going to be a lot of evolution, really exciting things coming to the project, and you can follow the journey through, be part of it. So my secret is just get amongst it now. Don't procrastinate.
Okay, I've just got a couple other things I wanted to ask you, just to be really clear. So what are the main problems, or how many problems do you think there are currently with what people are using at the moment, whether it's Gumtree, AliExpress, Alibaba, Amazon or eBay? What do you think are the main problems that you're solving?
Okay, so there's quite a few, I would say there's plus of 10 major problems that we've identified. And this also relates to any crypto platform that's been created so far, like any buy-sell platforms, right? The first one is complexity. Second one is the time. It's very time-consuming to get into crypto and out of crypto currently through the channels. One of the other ones is the costs, particularly horrendous with the traditional providers, the fiat-based providers. And then you got the trust issues. And when it comes to smart contracts, that's kicks up another problem of the volatility, market volatility. Obviously, over time, when the market's in the trillions, volatility won't be such a big issue. But currently, if you've got a smart contract holding up your funds for 2 or 3 weeks, think about the last month or so, you'd be crying if you can't access those funds. So it creates cash flow issues through traditional smart contracting. Then I already mentioned overheads, but convenience as it stands, right? It's not convenient dealing with, it's not convenient. It's time consuming and laborious to move money in and out of exchanges and back to fiat just to go shopping online again. Plus the complexity around having multiple wallets. I know people have 15 different wallets, trying to keep their crypto under control. And what we're really focusing on is keeping things simple, keeping them manageable in one place. So it takes, again, the complexity of the wallet side of things out, and then tax compliance. Right? And this is a really big one. I know in Australia particularly, where if you want to utilize crypto for personal use case, you can be exempt of certain tax, but you need to prove its use case. So by being able to spend your crypto on a crypto store and get a receipt of transaction and a receipt for goods, it's very clear here, ATO, here's my receipt. I did use it for what I intended it to, right? So all of these things, and then lastly, the big issue is having a a place where the community can actually effectively transact with one another in a trusted environment. So it's a trust, right?
Got it. I think the tax implication is quite significant in some parts of the world, such as Australia, because you're absolutely right. You don't actually pay tax on any gains, do you? As long as it's used for personal use. So
that's exactly right. As long as you can prove your personal use case and intent, then you're exempt of capital gains or income tax on it. But it's very difficult to do if you're just sending to some random wallet address and saying, oh yeah, well I bought something on Gumtree. Well, where's your receipt? I didn't get one of those. Good luck, ATO. It's not going to work so well. So we're really, that was one of the major things that came to mind when we started, was about keeping things simple from a compliance point of view, and also from the merchant themselves being able to, set your tax percentage in the back end, so you can keep track of what you should be putting aside for tax and things like that.
Okay, thank you. So there's a number of areas there, a number of problems you say you're solving, 10 or more problems around ease, cost, speed, compliance, the big areas.
Volatility.
Okay. Volatility, yeah. So where can people find more information about Free Market Token?
Okay, so the best place to find information is freemarkettoken.io. That's straight up the best place. You can download the white paper there. It's in Chinese and English. Japanese one's being worked on now, so that shouldn't be too far away. So definitely get on freemarkettoken.io. Okay,
great. And how can people contact you? Where are you hanging out? In Telegram or where?
Yeah, we live in Telegram pretty much most of the day. So our Telegram group's easily found as well. So it's t.me/free_market_token.
Got it. Thank you so much, Nathan Burns, co-founder of Free Market Token and eCrypto Store. It's been an absolute pleasure finding out more. I think that's been a really valuable conversation for anybody that's thinking, so what's the next step for e-commerce and buying and selling online? There have been a number of problems with anything that's running to date or that I've seen proposed in terms of other crypto solutions or current non-crypto solutions. So it looks like you're well underway, and you're telling me, I think just before we came online, that this is not vaporware, it's actually a fully functioning project. Yeah,
absolutely. That's the one thing we never wanted to do. We didn't want to bring an idea to the market, we wanted to bring a solution to the market. And so eCrypto Store is active right now. There are active users on there. There are people who have got goods and services available for crypto. So get on there, have a look around. It's a great platform, but keeping in mind, this is version 1. Version 2 is just around the corner, and we're extremely excited about what's coming.
Great. Nathan Burns, thank you so much. This is Angela Wright from Make Crypto Easy, Noble ICO and Daily Crypto Fix. It's been my pleasure to be with Nathan today from Free Market Token and eCrypto Store. So I will see you next time.
Thanks so much, Angela. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Nathan. And I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.
Okay, bye.